Hi, Social Media Club. My name is Jessica Murray, your community manager. Today we are recording interviews from the IBM Social Lounge in Austin, Texas at South by Southwest. So we want to thank the IBM folks for giving us this studio space and allowing us to invite some really exciting people in. So I have Conor Roche to my left and I have Robert Matney to my right, who you're actually on a panel at South by.
We are.
Tell me a little about your panel.
The panel's title is Arts and Technology, or Performance and Technology, Keeping the Arts Alive.
Okay.
It's on at 3:30 on Monday afternoon, is that correct? 5 o'clock, I should know this. 5 o'clock on Monday afternoon.
Okay. And so what are you guys going to be discussing in the panel?
We are looking at how artists and arts organisations can make best use of technology to help reach new audiences through new and interesting ways.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about what distinguishes traditional live events from using real time and the technology that you're talking about, kind of integrating arts and culture.
Sure. Well, it's nothing new to stream live performances out to the web or out to television. At which point it becomes something like television or cinema. But there's an opportunity available to us now to include interactive components into the performance itself, which restores some agency back to the audience in a way that you get with live theater and live performance when it's local and physically has high physical proximity. And so what we're looking at is ways to create performances that are available online that also factor in the audience. How can they participate in the performance itself, manipulate it to some degree, adjust for it, and make sure that we restore to the cinematic experience something of that live performance experience.
Just as if they were there.
Just as if they were there.
So can you give me an example of some of the cutting edge technologies or brands that are using these?
Sure. And of course, I'll focus on arts organizations rather than brands for our purposes now, but there are, I think, brands out there doing interesting work in this area. Conor and I had the opportunity last year to work on a project called You Wouldn't Know Her, She Lives in London, when it was in Austin. And in London, it was called You Wouldn't Know Him, He Lives in Texas. And in that context, we had performers in London and in Austin, one cast in two different locations, physical audiences in two different locations. They were connected using video streaming, just video call, and all performers and audience members could see each other because of the way we had lined up the technology, right? So the play was transacted simultaneously in two different locations, and then both audio-video streams were streamed to the web, and then all of it could all audiences, the online audience, the London audience, the Austin audience, could interact using text. We used a Twitter hashtag in that context, and the actors were then improvisationally coached on how to respond to the feedback that was coming in. So that's one project. There's a company in Germany called Rimini Protocol. They have a project called Call Kutta in a Box, and in that context they have a call center in India, and you can be in the city that the production is happening in, whether it's New York or London or Berlin, and you connect to a call center. They then take you on a tour of your city and you interact with the person on the call center, which I think is quite interesting. Also here domestically there is New Play TV, which is run by the Arena Stage in DC, and it uses the livestream.com platform to do live streams of performances, and they always include the chat room so that the audience can interact with each other and have a shared social experience of the arts and cultural event that they're watching.
Cool. So about some of the arts organizations that are using all this integrated technology, what are some of the results that they're seeing?
I can talk specifically about a project that I also worked on, which is entitled Black Box, which was a series of musical performances that was available exclusively to audiences online, live and live only. So just to go back a step and to talk about how you capture these events and the difference between traditional broadcast events and events that would exist exclusively to online audiences. What we're doing is not capturing a performance that has an audience in a physical space per se. What we're doing is actually using technology to really create a new paradigm for engagement, to create a way in which audiences could only experience this event. So it is not just capturing event in a space, but it's actually creating an event that is exclusively interactable by audiences that exist online. So our own example, or the example that I'm most familiar with, which is the one entitled Black Box, was this series of performances that was broadcast exclusively to audiences online, and these were musical performances. There was no audience in the space of the actual studio itself. And we had some great results. First of all, the audience numbers that we achieved were an average 20 to 30,000 people viewed, and it peaked at 60,000 viewers. And if you consider the capacity of the venue, that this performance occurred, which is 3,000. That's
excellent.
It's a large multiple in terms of increasing the capacity. So that can give you some example of actually how it adds value to artists or arts organisations. And then I think the most significant data that we were able to acquire from these broadcasts, from these events, was the period of time that the audiences were engaged for. And the performances themselves predominantly lasted in around 20 minutes. And if you exclude noise and some other disruption within the data, we had average view times of 8 minutes. And if you consider average view times for videos and cats playing pianos on YouTube, etc., that was pretty impressive. And that then extends on to the potential attraction for sponsors, for brands, for how you could actually package up these events and sell them on to brands and sponsors who may want to be involved in that thing.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about, you have some other panelists joining you. They couldn't be here today.
Yes.
But so the folks that are going to join your panel on Monday, what are some of the main takeaways?
Good. So we've got Asa Kalama, who is one of the Disney Imagineers. He's on the research and development team. So his focus is on the live performances that integrate networked and non-networked technology into the live performance. Looking forward to hearing what he has to say. There's all sorts of features at the parks that include these kinds of live interaction. If you've been to Disney World, there's this Nemo interaction piece, which is quite interesting, and that's the venue that he's in. He shared in our conversation a really interesting observation, interesting to me, which was his position that the human interface is always the preferable interface, and anything we can do and always to disappear the technology is the right approach. So I'm looking forward to hearing him talking about how he disappears technology into these performance milieus. Also, we've got Beth Burns, who's an artistic director for a theater company here in town called The Hidden Room. She's getting ready to direct a piece called Rose Rage, and Rose Rage will include actors in London, Virginia, and in Austin, and the rehearsal process will be transacted primarily over video conferencing, and then everyone will gather, and then we'll have a live cast of the performance with the audience able to chat. And then we also have Alice Mayat, who's one of the folks who heads up the National Endowment for the Arts, and her focus is on the fairly new media and arts granting portion of the National Endowment for the Arts. And she brings a real broad view of what's happening domestically in this area with integration between technology and arts and culture experiences.
Okay. And since you know the time, Monday 3:30, do you know the location, Conor?
5 o'clock Monday.
5 o'clock Monday, sorry.
I'll be admonished when we get off camera for getting that wrong. Sorry, the venue, what is the venue? I don't. He's the man.
12AB.
Okay, 12AB, here in the convention center.
Here in the convention center.
Excellent. So
Yeah.
you guys scored a great location, too.
It's a great venue.
Well, I will try to swing by. So where can we learn more about your panel or you guys?
The link is on the schedule. That's probably the best way, and the biogs and links to our various organisations are there too. And then look us up on Twitter.
All right, what's your Twitter handle?
At Conor Roche.
Okay, and yours?
Mine is at Matney, RMATNEY.
Okay. Well, thank you, Conor. Thank you, Robert, for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Great. Good luck at your panel on Monday, and I will try to swing by. Okay.
Thank